Welcome to another episode of the Chronicles of Mister. I'm Mr. Pierre, and I'm so glad to be joined by my guest, Gabrielle Pickens, aka Remote Black Girl. Gabrielle, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be here.
Same. I'm excited to have this conversation because, as we were saying before we started recording and whatnot, just the beauty of knowledge and in knowing what we know and how that shapes what we do going forward changes everything. As an educator, just being able to have these conversations with folks who are in education as well as entrepreneurs is a wonderful thing. So if we could start there, how did you get into this remote work, this life as remote Black girl?
Sure. Yeah. So just to back it up a little bit, I used to be in the Navy. I was active duty, United States Navy from 2013 until 2019. And so during my transition out, as you start to think about, okay, what's next for me? How do I kind of just continue on this path as this chapter is closing? What can I do to kind of reignite my creative spirits and just, as I started kind of contemplating those things naturally. PR marketing are in my background. I initially studied journalism in school when I went to school at NIU. Shout out to the Huskies in DeKalb. But after I left school and then when I went to the Navy, I ended up finishing my degree in PR marketing. And so that was my chosen career path, but still not really understanding kind of what exactly I wanted to do, what about PR did I like? I just kind of didn't know, right? So just those initial stages of the unknowns, right? So just navigating that. And then settling on finding an opportunity at a studio in San Diego. So I didn't literally know anything hands-on about the industry, but being able to kind of just work my way through and continue to network. I eventually found my way to a digital marketing agency and lasted about 2 weeks there. So that's a very interesting tale. That's how I knew. I'm like, I think I need to go ahead and do this on my own, right? So
Yeah.
those little subtle kind of things just kind of led me through to, okay, let's maybe try a little bit on your own. Like, what does it look like to have a client? What does it look like to, deliver things and provide services? How do you offer your services to people? What do you offer? How do you attach value to your experience, your intellectual property? Those are the types of questions that I considered and, that I thought about, right? So eventually, COVID happened,
Yeah.
and that forced everybody to work indoors. But I was kind of already in that mindset because I was already out of the military. So, just it's been a trial and error journey. It has not been linear. If I get anything out of this conversation, I want to just let folks know that the path to entrepreneurship, the path in general, the path, right? I'm using
Yeah.
quotations if you can't see me. The path is not linear, right? So I wish I had a pretty story, a nice button up way to kind of, portray this. But the truth of the matter is it was instinctual mixed with a little, natural skill, right? My actual skill set, that
Right.
knowledge base, that theory, a little bit of magic, a little bit of hope and faith in the world, right? And really just, cultivating this growth mindset to see opportunities when they are presented to me versus denying them, refusing them, so on and so forth. So lots of personal growth along that entrepreneurship journey too, for me.
You said a whole myriad of things that I'm hoping the folks who are listening or watching catch. I think the number one thing is like recognizing just that value in you. You are the prize. You are the worth. Like, and I think a lot of us, and I'll say as an educator, a lot of us will put that exterior of like, hey, when my kiddos do this, then I feel that I've done a good job. Or if my
Wow.
admin states this, then I'm going to feel like I'm X, Y, or Z. When it's in fact you're
Mm.
already there. I mean, listening to
Hmm.
you just state like, how do I now articulate my worth to others? Because I know what
Right.
I'm worth, but how do I articulate that to others? Did you have a mentor that helped you with that, or is that something again like you were just
Yeah.
mentioning, like instinctually?
Yeah, so I have a really cool story. So I am one of those people like I just want to know, right? I just don't want to take no for an answer, right? So
Hmm.
my first I think my first solid step towards getting into the PR industry, um because my mindset originally was I'm going to work for somebody. So my original mindset was I need to go and look for a job. So I remember in being in DC, which is where I was stationed at Walter Reed, still in my uniform, um, in this back room at this computer, just kind of just doing my own thing. Just I'm in a waiting phase. Like I know I'm leaving the Navy. I know I'm getting out. I know something else is out there over there. I just don't know what it is, right? I don't know that this is what it is now. Fast forward, right? But this is 2019 and I'm looking on Google. I'm looking just PR. What is PR? What is this stuff? Like who's doing it? It's this mystical world of celebrity and media and like spin and but you have to write and you have to
Right.
connect with people and you have to build relationships and you have to research and you have to think and tell stories. So it's like, how am I? What is this stuff, right? And
Hmm.
so I go online and I found this. I don't know how I found this, but I found an Amazon TV show called PR Girl, and I'm like, click. So I immediately watch it. I'm like, oh my God, this is everything I ever wanted to know. And I look at the credits to see who made it.
Right, right,
And I look
right.
for the cast, who's on the show, right? So that is that natural seeker, right? So that's that natural publicist in me, that researcher.
Yeah.
So this is a natural thing, but you have to kind of chisel at it to make it work for you.
Right,
And
right.
so I found out one of the girls' name. Hey, Alex, if you're listening, I found out Alex. She's a superstar publicist in California, originally from Coronado, went to Chicago to build her business.
Right.
And I am from Chicago. And so I'm like, oh, wow, she has a business in Chicago. I'm from there, but I know that I'm going to San Diego. It was just the magic again, that
Yeah.
what I'm talking about, that spontaneity, that
Yeah.
unknowing, but that knowing in your eye, but not knowing with your eyes or you feel what I'm saying here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's like when I sent her this email, that was that cold email. Again, that's publicist one-on-one. Sending cold emails to people you've never met before, to people who never met you, who don't know anything about you, and convincing them and persuading them to talk to you about whatever it is, right? And so that natural persuasion, she ended up getting on. This lady didn't know me from anywhere, right? But I told her in the email, hey, my name is Gabrielle. I'm interested in PR, blah, 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 blah. I'm active duty, but this, and this. What you trying to do? I literally just put myself out there. I
What you
literally
trying to
put
do?
myself, and
I
she
love it.
responded to me. And
Yeah.
we actually became really good. And back to your question, she was my first PR mentor, this random woman who didn't know anything about me, but was willing to at least honor the ambition in me and say, who is this
Yeah.
girl emailing me who wants to
Mm.
meet up with me and who wants to learn from me? And she allowed me to do that. So thank you so much, Alex. And so that is the mentor story. And then from there, I just kept, after I got in and I could see, I said, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I can do this. Once you learn that lingo, I heard President Obama say this once. He was saying, we have to stop thinking we don't belong in the room just because we're uncomfortable. Just because
Hmm.
you don't know the lingo, just because you don't know the quips, just because you don't know the jargon, you're going to learn that. And before you know it, you will be speaking in code just like everybody else. But still, you're there and you have something to give, so give it. And don't
Yeah.
be like, it's no imposter syndrome. That's a scam.
Let me take a moment just to let it
Sis,
sit. No, for real,
to
sis.
talk.
No, let's. In everything you're saying, take a moment. Anyone who's listening, I hope you caught. Number one, just the act of reaching out takes a little bit of humility of like, hey, the answer could be no, but that's going to be the worst. The answer could also be yes, and who knows what could come from that. So to hear you say like, hey, my first true mentor in this realm that I was looking to get into was a person who didn't know me from Adam, didn't know me from Raheem, but I reached out to them, and here we are today, a really good friend. Many years later. And as we're recording this at the end of 2023, to think 4+ years ago, you were at a computer, click-clacking, doing whatever you do, and reached out, and to now know who you are right now, see what you know right now, is like incredible. Similar for myself in this podcast, having these conversations with educators and entrepreneurs, I was content prior to COVID of like, look, I'm teaching. And then once COVID hit, was just like, yo, things got to be different because the way we're moving, it's just not the same. It's
Mm-hmm.
changed things, opened up our eyes. And as you said, like
Baby,
like, I think a lot of us are now seeing like, yo, there's a lot of things that we were told that it's just not the truth.
it
It's a
ain't
bit of
the
a
truth.
scam, and like knowledge is the key. And once we know what we now know, that now we can move with a sort of intentionality. Um, so number one, just want to state that off the rip. Appreciate that the mentorship was from a person that wasn't on your radar. Like you were the
And
one
she
who
was a
reached
white
out to
girl.
them.
And she was a white girl. Listen, can I say, listen, let me, and the
Say
reason
it,
why I'm
say
saying
it.
this is because this black is a mental mind state.
Mm-hmm.
This country has let programmed us, forced us to believe that we are alone. You know, there is no community, there is no unity. You are so different from everybody else around you. You bet not ask for help. You're gonna be cursed
And
if you
that's a
do.
fallacy. Yep, that's a fallacy. It's just
We
not the
have
truth.
to
Yeah,
ask for help.
yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. And I think what you touched on, that idea or the programming of keeping folks separated, knowing that look, as long as you're divided, it's easier to pick you off one by one by one. But the moment we all come together, and even if it's not physically together, but like, hey, let me put you in contact because I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who can help you out. That
Each one
that
teach.
that's really what it boils down to, of knowing who and where you're going to be able to grow and do what you can do, and is just magnificent.
You know, as you were talking, I was thinking I said this before, we forfeit our own growth. We give it up. We give it up. Once we say to ourselves, no, they white, they ain't gonna help me. No, they this. Whatever it is, whatever we tell ourselves about the world around us, whatever our rose colored glasses or green color, whatever color glasses you are seeing the world through,
Mm-hmm.
your vision, your glasses. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, things don't turn out differently, because they do. And it sometimes they have turned out differently for me. People will read your message or leave it on red, don't say nothing back to you, act like they never met you before.
Right,
So
right.
that happens. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying is, dust yourself off and try again, and open your heart to the goodness of people. And like, we cannot be jaded. We cannot get jaded by these experiences, because it hardens us and it prevents us from growing.
Yeah,
It truly does.
yeah. And I'm hoping whoever's listening to this recognizes your reality is your reality. Those are facts. Like what you're experiencing, what you're going through, not denying that, don't want to negate that. However, or as a person's helping me see, and not but and there's also the possibility that you could run into a person who doesn't look like you or who may resemble someone who has wronged you in the past. However, that's not the same person.
Yeah.
And consequently, how they choose to move and how they choose to react and behave with you could be different. Does it open you up to the possibility of being hurt again? Absolutely. And if you're not about that, no shade, no tea. I'm not going to berate you for that. However,
Mhm.
you could have an instance where you reach out to someone, cold call them as you state, and look what happens 4 years down the road. Your future self is like, man, if I didn't do just that simple act of reaching out, probably wouldn't be here. And so knowing that those opportunities are there. You just got to reach out for them because, again, the worst that they could say is no, or like you said, leave me on red. I have no idea of knowing why you didn't respond to it. But if you do respond to it, what could come of that?
I
What
know
great
what
things could come of that?
what if it
Yeah.
goes right? You know,
Yeah.
that's been the thing I've been learning. I've been getting into all types of just high frequency literature.
Mm.
You know, just things that challenge my belief systems in a way that empower me, kind of help me acknowledge my shadow self is what it's called, the inner self, you know, the parts of yourself that you don't really like, the parts of yourself, you know, for me at least is like, you know, I can be kind of dismissive or sometimes to, you know, or I can be, you know, just kind of Miss Smarty Pants sometimes. And sometimes it kind of like this ain't the time for that, you know. But that don't bother me. I can't.
Yeah.
Be
Acknowledge
mad
it.
at, right?
Yep.
Now I can't correct nobody's grammar no more. Like that's just what I be doing sometimes, and I still talk like this. Like this is who I am. I am this dynamic person, and accepting all of that about me is the tipping point of that
Yeah.
personal power,
Yep.
right? So what? So I'm a smart ass. What else? Or I'm always late. What else? Or I have a, you know, whatever it is about you that is not agreeable, the things that you don't love about yourself, the things that you do pick apart, those things are still a part of you. And like if you shy away from them, then they grow and they like it just gets bigger. Like, oh,
Yep.
like that big thing over there. It's like, no, like,
Yeah.
hello, narcissism. Hey girl. Hey
Yeah.
gal. What's up? Like, call it out.
Yep. Yep. And as a person who is now working remotely, and there's things within the 4 years that we mentioned, because 2000, it seems like 2019 was like a pivotal year or a landmark moment. From
Yes.
then to now, like, what are some things that you now know you're like, man, I wish I could have picked this up sooner. I wish I knew this sooner. This, be you.
Okay. I
Be
listen.
you.
I can only do that, but you know, I just want to make sure, you know.
Yeah. No, even like we were saying right before the brief pause of like, we have these ideas, or at least let me not project. I have these ideas, or I used to have these ideas, and I'm still working through it of like, hey, it should look like this, it should sound like this, it should be this. And it's like, I'm basing that off of what I have seen when I was not part of that equation. The moment I
Yeah.
became part of the equation and having this conversation with you on this
Yeah.
day at this time, it's not going to be whatever the thing that I've seen. It's just going to be what it's going to be. And
Yeah.
to just be like, my wife just tells me, like, be water. Like, whatever's
Mm.
coming is going to come. We just got to flow with it. And when it's no longer for us, cool. Thank you very much. Exit stage left. And
Yeah.
so I
I
say all
love
that,
that.
to say, like, when these hiccups come with the interwebs, when it comes with the whatevers, it's just like, it is what it is. As a teacher in the classroom, that happens. I may have a lesson plan planned, and the kids are just like, today's not the day, Mr. Pierce. Things are funky, or blah blah blah. Like we were talking about the hoodie. I'm not the one who's literally making this hoodie. I'm the one who's coming up with the idea of like, hey, this is what I want on it. This is the texture of it. I'm not picking the cotton. I'm not sewing it together. I'm not the one who, has to put this in a box and ship it out to you. I'm not the mail person who's bringing it to your door. So there are all these other factors and variables that I don't control. And so I may want it to get to you next week, 2 days Amazon Prime, but even Amazon's like, look, we're sorry, Wooly. We'll give you a $5 credit because we thought it was going to be
Right.
there, but it's not.
Right.
And I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay. And so I
Absolutely.
say all that to say, like, I appreciate the effort. I appreciate you, like, hey, it's not this, it's not that. But when it boils down to it, you being here is the prize. So that's all good. Yeah.
That is so disarming, and you know that's the type of, you know, humanity that I believe in. So thank you.
Yeah.
But you know that's I would, if I was in my position, I would extend the same grace. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
A person said, another mentor too over the years, it's like, try to give folks their flowers when they're above ground. So often
Mm-hmm.
it's like when a person is gone, then like he or she was this, they were that, they were that. I was like, did you ever
Right.
tell him? Did you ever
Did you
tell him?
tell
Did you tell
him?
him?
You say
Because
nothing.
I mean, it's nice to let me know that they did all these things, but I obviously didn't have the relationship that you did. And
Right.
so even if it is the first time you're meeting a person, like just let them know, like, hey, thank you very much. A lot of times, this is sort of the heat and blowback that we get when I'm late or da 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 da. So for you to just acknowledge, stuff happens, and it's that's sufficient. I don't need to know all the details. Stuff happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we all know that
Yes.
feeling, but we at times forget. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you, and I appreciate just the acknowledgement of like, I don't want this to happen, but it happened. Let's keep it
Yeah.
pushing. Yeah.
For sure.
And I think right before we were had that brief break of we talked about mentors, we talked about like the systems that we need to set up in order for things to work well for you now that you are the everything.
Yes.
Me,
Yes.
you're the everything. You're the boss, you're the worker, you're the HR, you're the all of that. Like we now know, okay, set these systems up, but what were like sort of the initial hurdles, issues, whatever that you had to get over in order to now be in a space where you're like, all right, I'm okay. I want to get to good. I want to get to great. I want to get to exceptional, whatever, whatever. So that when you look back on the next 4 years, when we jump to 2028 or whatever that point is, where you're just like, oh,
Or
yeah.
2028. That's whew. Hello there. At the beginning, for me, it was my pricing. I am very excited and very go go go. Like when my brain is clicking off, it's clicking. Okay, and so that will really lead to burnout if you are not priced right, because you are going to be overworked and
Hmm.
underpaid, and this little resentment is going to start welling up in the back of your head, and you're going to be like, you know what, if they email me one more time, you are
Yeah.
just you're going to see the greatness of your efforts, but it's not going to reflect in your bank account, and so you're still going to be under stress, under
Mm,
that pressure. So so it's like this juxtaposition, because you truly do enjoy the work and you are really truly in and you are feeling it, but you look at when it's
yeah.
time to get paid, you feel like, wait,
The math's
I'm
not
getting,
mathing.
that's not, this doesn't make any sense. The math ain't
Yeah.
math in here.
Yeah.
And so now you have to go back. You can't be mad at the client. You have to, it's not anything to be necessarily mad about, right? It's not mad. It's not, it's not, that's not the emotion we need to harness when we're faced with these situations. The correct, well, the more empowering way to understand the difficulties with pricing is to realize that, and I'm Black. If you're listening to me, I am a Black woman in America. And so I'm talking to you. When you are considering your pricing, like what am I worth? We got to take a long, hard, deep look at two things: what they think you're worth and what you say you're worth. Because those are
Mm,
two different things.
mm,
You have to decide what is going to who price is going to trump, who price is going to be the price, what price is going to
yeah.
be the price. Okay, so there comes a little market research, but at the end of the day, the person who is going to push publish on that new rate, the person that is going to say $15,000 on the phone for that new rate, the person that is going to see that money in their bank account is you. You have to decide, what is this all worth? My
Yeah.
time,
Yep.
my energy, time away from my children, time away from my spouse, time spent thinking about you and your project and your woes and your pain points and your trajectory and your growth and your KPIs and all this stuff. How
much is that going to take away from me? And let's add a little black tax on top of that, because I know that y'all want me to overachieve. I got to play these games, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to, but
The
we
reality.
let's talk. Let's be real. Let's be
The
real, right?
reality. Yep.
You playing games, right? And so how much is the game worth to you?
Hmm.
And you have to decide, how much is it going to cost for you to put that uniform on.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a reality, an intersectionality that you're speaking of that I think, yeah, you just have to acknowledge. I know for myself as a man, when I walk into a classroom and the students see me, it's different than when my counterparts who present as women walk into the classroom. Likewise, as a black man, when I walk into the classroom and I'm sitting down and having a conversation the first time with parents, for example, that is going to be perceived differently than if it were a white woman or a white man. And so that is reality. And I look to, at the now having had a number of years under my belt, recognize like, look, first week of school, even during that last week of summer, I'm reaching out to folks, letting them know who I am. This is what your kiddo's getting into, so that they are prepared, as you mentioned, that research, so that they have the opportunity to be like, all right, am I about this life? Or do I think I'm about this life? Or even do I want to begin this life, because your kiddo's going to be with me for however long you decide. Um, and what that is going to cost in terms of like, this is how I am, this is how I present, this is how I speak, this is how I do things. I'm going to be the sun, so to speak, in your kid's life. Your kiddo as a young person is going to have their ups and downs, so they're going to rotate, they're going to have their different seasons, but this is me. I want you to know that before, at the rip, on the jump, so that when I hold that and I am consistent, you know what you're getting. And then similarly too, like you're saying, if I have this hoodie, look, this is 100% Egyptian cotton. This is gonna be
Okay,
feeling so good on your body. You're gonna love it. And then on the inside of this hood, there's a little bit of satin, because
listen,
you know what that does to our hair. So look, I'm letting
listen.
you know what
Oh, you
this
know
is.
what? That ain't a bad
Consequently,
idea. Okay,
sis,
now.
if you
Right,
make that,
let me call. Listen,
look, if you make that with the little satin inside, so it's not drying out my hair,
1%
particularly in
royalty.
the
I
winter,
got you, brother.
shucks. But
Listen.
me then knowing, look, I could buy a $15 hoodie from Walmart, but then if you price point it at 65, I gotta know what I'm paying for. And if I do my job well of like telling you this is the reason why, this is the reason why, or
Yes.
because I'm
Yes.
like, yo, look, I know who Gabrielle is. She's not gonna sell me shoddy stuff, but I also know that she's not the person who's individually. So she's gonna buy a what do they call it? The promo, the test, whatever. She's got. You're doing all that, and if I trust you, then it's like, bet. This point forward, we have that understanding, and when I pay
Yes.
for X, Y, and Z, I know what I'm getting. And so, if
Absolutely.
those realities are just that, the realities that you have to weigh if you want to get into this space.
You look at Taraji P. Henson. I mean, she's talking
Can
about
we?
the
Yes.
intersectionality right there
Yep.
in our face.
Yep.
And
Yep.
let us not forget. So then, and people have been talking about this with Monique versus Taraji, right? Like,
Yep.
why didn't? And the fact of the matter is, Monique. First of all, people don't believe women.
Mm-hmm.
People don't believe black women.
Mm-hmm.
People don't believe black women who are dark skinned.
Mm-hmm.
People don't believe black women who are dark skinned with a fat ass.
Mm-hmm.
People don't believe black women who are dark skinned with a fat ass with a fucking mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So Monique has all of the things that are wrong in America. The blackness, the fat, the dark, the mouth, the ghetto, the all of this. And she says something. The audacity of a fat black woman to say something.
Yeah. Yeah. Take a deep breath.
We got to get for real. We got
Yeah.
to get seriously, seriously, seriously real about what's happening
Yeah.
outside.
The optics of it all. Yep.
And to Monique is, I mean, like Taraji. All listen, even us doing this, even us having this conversation right now,
Mm-hmm.
this is what we're supposed to be doing: recording history, our accounts of what's happening to us in real time.
Yeah.
That is how you build back better. That is how you build a community. That is how you organize and move together as one. That's how you create protocol and discipline within your community. If everybody taps into the podcast at 7 o'clock in the morning, they listening to you, or they listening to Earn Your Leisure every single morning. Real information, not no shade to the entertainment, but I'm talking about real information. The 19 keys of the world, the
Mm-hmm.
me, the yous, the us that
Yeah.
are trying to elevate and challenge and just vibrate. Just throw something in there just to see how it reverberates. Does it resonate?
Yeah.
Do we move? Can we move feet? Can you get butts in seat, boots on ground to move, to
Yeah.
shift the mind? How do you shift the mindset of people, of our people, right? So, I'm proud of Taraji. I'm grateful. I'm thankful, right, for her, because if this prominent Black woman is out there doing this on this stage in this day and age, right? She's not doing the dog and pony show. She's
Mm-hmm.
using her every opportunity to, when she's being interviewed, to say something real,
Yeah.
not just smiling. Oh, thank you so much, Oprah. Thank you for the color purple. No, she's using this as that's how you change things.
Yeah.
You speak truth to power. You say it out loud. Your voice, your chakra, whatever you want to call it, open it up and speak and let it out. We
Yeah.
got to do that. Dance
Yeah.
it out, whatever. Black people are expressive, right? It's powerful. I love it. I'm so proud.
As you were saying all the things that you were saying, which are spot on, that the optics of a woman, black woman, large black woman, um, dark skinned black woman, dark skinned black woman who may not speak in the way that you deem proper, etc. However you choose to define that. The optics of that versus Taraji, who by any standard,
Sing, short,
immaculate.
cute,
Right.
beautiful.
Right.
So now they're listening.
You and as you were saying, it was like, man, this is making me think of like Claudette Colvin versus Rosa Parks, where it's like
Mm.
the optics of it is like, why is it now resonating with so many folks that it's hitting the way that it's hitting versus, like you were saying, when it was Monique who was saying the same thing. Are we now just listening, or is it that the person who's stating what they're stating is more appealing to you and consequently hits the way that versus like
They said Taraji. I didn't mean to cut you off, but they
no no
said Monique got off for 500,000. Amy Schumer,
yeah
11 million.
yeah yeah
Come on, Amy
yeah
Schumer. She
yeah
is definitely not as funny or entertaining or solid or been in the game as long as Monique. So how the math ain't mathing? Come
right
on.
right and that part, even that right there of like a person like, oh, but that's objective. If we're looking at just the length of time, because I will agree and give them like, look, what I consider funny versus what you consider funny, totally subjective. True. However, if a person has been a comedian for 20 plus years, 30 plus years, however many years that Monique has on her belt, versus a person who's up and coming, what you mean to tell me that they don't deserve, that you feel that their value is $500,000 versus 11 million? So you're telling me 22 times more for real? That or you get the individuals
Come on,
now
T. Come on. The math ain't
who
math. He said
you
the
know
math ain't math.
math ain't mathing. Come on now, come on now. That to me is like, again, who are the individuals in the room who are making those decisions? Who are they having those conversations with to tell them, like, do you know who this person is? Do you know the history that this person has? To then say, this is what we're going to offer you.
And it's like, who gets, and so that thinking, this idea that I have to ask,
Yeah.
but I don't have to ask. And I'm not asking. That's why I'm freelancing. That's why I'm working from home. And
Yeah.
that truly is that financial autonomy, that peace That's what drives me to do this how I'm doing it. I could
Mm.
go and get a job at a firm as a publicist today.
Yeah.
I could. And
Yeah.
be getting my paycheck every 2 weeks,
Yep.
knowing, just having that security. That's
Yep.
another way. That's another way to get you
Yeah.
security. There ain't no security. There ain't no financial security. You
Yeah.
say one wrong thing at the water cooler, they're gonna find a way to get you up out of there. Ain't no security.
You don't need to say anything wrong. There are people who you get a new CEO, you get a new head who's like, "Hey, we're going in a different direction, and
Bye.
we want to cut this much percentage," and just you're gone. Like that's and as the head, you could do that. Like if they want to give the facade of like this is the reason why you're going, but there doesn't need to be a reason. The reason like they chose to, and as at that position, yeah, that's your right to do that. But like you were saying, if I am the owner of my business, I am the CEO, the COO, the HR department lead. I get to decide who I work with or who I choose not to work with for whatever reason I deem. And that's the liberty and
Ooh,
freedom that
yes.
that you got. And I hope whoever's choosing to go into that field, that is recognize that you are the prize.
You are the prize. You are the talent. And
Yeah.
in any industry, it's not just for PR industry. It can
Yep.
be for any industry. There are tons of remote jobs out there that, just the first objective is just to have more time to yourself. You can
Mm-hmm.
find those data entry jobs. It doesn't have to be the most amazing job yet. Just take that first step, then go from there, grow from there, grow up, grow out. But just take that first step. My first gig, $250 a month.
Mm.
Did you hear what I said? $250 a month.
Hoo-ha.
That was 4 years ago. If I didn't raise my prices, I would have been rolled down on the street on
Yeah.
47 King Drive in Chicago asking for money because there is no way. And so
Yeah.
having that internal conversation, reflection, having a sense of awareness of yourself, of your life, of your path, developing a bird's eye view of yourself, then these questions, they are no longer just kind of thoughts roaming around. They are things that you're actually considering and
Mm.
things that you have to sit down to kind of work through in order to rise up to that next level. Because how can I make $24,000 a month if I don't know how much an hour is worth, if I don't know how much a minute is worth of my time? Of Okay, so instead of working for, they have this debate, hourly versus fixed pricing. What do you do? The answer to that question is whatever works for you. Okay, but make
There it is.
sure
Yeah.
make sure that the price is encompassing your life. The
Yeah.
idea is to have your freelance income pay for your life,
Yeah.
and then grow into a business that with all that stuff. But the
Yep.
basic is to just pay for your food, your clothing, your home, your necessities, your rent, your mortgage, life, gas, your kids, your food, whatever. Incidental savings. You want to create a life around that. So you have to take it seriously. But at the same time, you have to price yourself accordingly and really understand, what value am I bringing and how is that transforming my client?
Mm-hmm.
Even as a teacher,
Yep.
this I had a friend of mine from high school. She hit me up. This is I've been out of high school since 2008. She hit me up and said, "Hey, Gabby, I really want to push this agenda forward. My ideas of how to reform this education thing. What can
Mm-hmm.
I do?" I said, listen, go on LinkedIn, beef that thing up, okay? And start to write down your musings. Start to write down your observations. Start to write down those insights, those ideas, right?
Yeah.
Write them down. That's how those are the frameworks of lectures. When you want to go off and be teacher of the year or speaker of the year or whatever, and you have these transformative ideas that can change the education system or the work life balance, whatever, pitch those ideas to conferences, but you have to have those thoughts down first, right? So I
Yep.
told her, start to write those things down, you know, outline them, and look for opportunities. Like, take yourself out there and look for those opportunities. You don't want to um you don't want to just sit back on your intellectual property and you know leave money on the table. You can't do
Right.
that.
Right. I, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm loving it, because often we will get in our own way. Often we will tell ourselves, like you were just mentioning, like we have these ideas, and that's all they are at the moment. They're just the ideas until we actually leave it from the ether and put it somewhere that it can actually be seen, so that we can then refine it. Because Michelangelo could be looking at that piece of marble and it's like, yes, I know what this is going to look like. But until you take that chisel to it, that's all it is. It's just the idea. And however long you need to, let that marinate, cool. But then start. There's got to be, even if it's like chip, chip, let it sit. Chip, chip, let it sit. But act on what it is that you are thinking of, meditating on, in order to then take it out of that ether and make it into something for real, for real. Is
Man, I love. We could talk forever. We probably over time. We could talk forever because I feel you. I know what you're
yeah,
doing. I see you, my brother. Like
yeah,
we can do this once a month, whatever you want to do. But I'm serious. Like I, you are you. This conversation is about to unleash so many teachers into the speaking realm
yeah,
because here's the thing, right? Teachers are vital. They are like the weave. You
yeah,
get where I'm going here, right?
yeah,
And so, and if the schools won't amplify your voices, you can go right on Riverside, push record,
yeah,
and do all and make your voices heard. As soon as you hit publish, it will live on forever. And you get to see your own growth, right? As
mm-hmm,
a thinker, as a thought leader. That's how you become a thought leader. People ask me all the time, okay, Gabby, you're a publicist, girl. What's a thought leader? Like, how do I said, listen, tell me something that I can Google. Okay.
yeah,
Tell me something. Tell me something I don't know. Like, give me an original thought. You are
yeah,
the master of this industry. You
yeah,
are a teacher. You are an education reformist. You are the one with the data and the empirical data and all the studies and all the things. You tell me what reference inferences you've come up with. You tell me what new insights or ideas or solutions you're kind of tinkering with.
yeah,
That is how you differentiate yourself by being a thought leader. You insert new ideas. You insert controversial ideas. You challenge people's ideas.
yeah,
You challenge the top ideas. You say, "Hey, Jeff Bezos, I don't agree with that." Or you say,
mm-hmm,
"Hey, Oprah, I don't agree." You challenge. You want to be heard. Challenge those top ideas that people are clamming on to. Maybe see things a little bit differently, and don't be afraid to be visible, right? I tell my clients all the time, be seen, be heard, be written about. Don't be afraid to be seen. Okay.
yeah,
We need voices, we need teachers to influence parents, to influence the kids. So those types of conversations, they cannot just be taking place in the teachers lounge. They
yeah,
need to be in the public. Women's Media Center, here's a plug for all of you who have something that you want to get out there. Women's Media Center is
do
a
it.
place where all of my clients go if you're a woman, because only 26% of all media sources are women. So you can take that number and figure out how many black women are in there,
Yeah,
right?
yep,
So
yep,
just by the math itself, we need more media sources and representation of black voices, black experience, black whatever, black thought
mm-hmm, yep.
into the conversation.
I'm loving it, and maybe this will be the beginning of a series of conversations that are had between you and I. In that, similarly, a lot of the things that you're saying and a lot of the things that you're doing, I know for myself as well as folks who are listening to the podcast are going to benefit from. I mean, something as simple as your shirt, for the folks who are just listening to this, or your hoodie who can't see it. It's not how much you earn; it's how much you keep. if
Listen,
if you're
yeah,
making $10 million a year, but you're expenses are 12 million, you're 2 million in the hole. Like you could like that does.
Ooh,
Whereas if you're making $75,000 a year, but your expenses are only 30, that means you're keeping 45. I rather that rather than the other. You don't need to call me a millionaire if I know that I'm not in debt and I can keep every year 45 grand. Bet, bet. I'll take that. I'll take that. So
man, you know,
yeah,
I'm
that
sorry,
right
go
there.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say that right there. Just your hoodie in of itself. If you got that with the satin laced, I'm there for it. I'm there
Listen, let
for
me
it.
get the satin cap. I'm gonna update. I'm gonna get you the satin cap with the.
And
It's not how
the
much
only
you
reason,
earn, it's how much you keep.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
for it.
we going there though. That's
Yeah,
why I wanted to do this, man. You know, I
yeah,
want it to be normal, but I
yep,
also, you know, it's financial literacy, money. Even today, this is for me. This is a reminder for myself. This is for
yeah,
Gabrielle. I'm making things I need. I'm making reminders I need.
yep,
50, 30, 20. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep,
you know, it's I'm trying to communicate information that is so simple but transformative in a
yeah,
way that, you know, people nobody is talking to us. They don't care
yeah.
about whether we live or die. Nobody's talking
I
to
hear
us.
you.
That's why we have to talk to ourselves
Yep, yep,
and influence ourselves
yeah, yeah.
and sharpen ourselves, you know? Like nobody's talking to us. And I
But
don't
you,
care. I don't want you to talk to me. I'm talking to
but
who I'm
you,
talking to.
you said it though. You said be seen, be heard, and what was the last one? Be written about.
Hmm.
In that of so often we are not being seen, we're not being heard, and consequently we're not being written about. And so rather than wait for someone else, because we said that's at the top of the show, like, yeah, that is the experience that a lot of us have. However, we can change that. I think just like you were saying, just having this of my speaking to an entrepreneur, my speaking to a black woman, my speaking to a woman who has done so much, continues to do much, is sufficient enough for me that's given me life like, yeah, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Just that idea that you just got out there about, hey, teachers, make sure that you're writing down what those thoughts are, then putting it into some sort of written form to then put on LinkedIn or wherever, so that you can then go to these conferences and speak out. I'm like, oh yeah, I
And
know
get
there is a
paid.
conference, and be compensated for it, and be compensated for it. There it
Did
is.
I mention that part? I should have
Yeah,
led with that. And get paid, baby.
and
Okay.
I love that, but it's not always that. I want to make sure that folks hear that too. Like, look, you should be compensated. And if that's what you want, bet. But I also recognize having that conversation with another human being to be like, oh snap, I'm not the only one who's thinking this.
Oh,
Great, great.
absolutely.
That too is a compensation that excuse me, that I'm appreciating as well. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. This is amazing. This has been amazing. Seriously. For
If I
real.
were to
I'm glad, grateful.
same,
I like doing this.
yeah. If I were to
Meeting of
ask
the
you,
mind, you know?
yeah.
Hey, you
Uh,
should do a panel, man. You got something good going on here. I swear.
Look, you and I are gonna chop it up, and we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it
Yes.
happen. We're gonna
Yes.
make it happen. I'm gonna end with this. Is what I like to end with all the guests and ask them: is there a book or books that you've read or are reading that you would highly recommend? That's part A of the question. And then, being a lover of music, is there a playlist? Could be five or more, but at least five, either artists, albums, or songs that are on the Gabrielle, aka at Remote Black Girl
Yes.
playlist right now.
At not your average publicist on TikTok, but
Not your
remote
average
black. Y'all
publicist as
just
well.
search remote black
Yes.
girl up. But yeah, okay. So my book that I swear by, "We Should All Be Millionaires" by Rachel Rogers.
Okay.
Homegirl serves it up raw and hot and spicy, all the ways that we have been programmed to think of ourselves as less than. And she gives real tools, resources, calculations, PDFs, whatever you need to actually turn that thing around. I have made significantly more money after reading this book. So I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you from personal experience, it works. And she has, I mean, she really figured it out in an easy to read way for us to understand, to be entertained by. It has a lot of historical accounts. So We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rogers. And as far as my music, always, always Jay-Z, anything. My girl, so please, So Ambitious all the time.
Okay.
Um, um, my girl Nicki Minaj just dropped Pink Friday too. Thank you so much, Nicki Minaj. I just want to shout out Nicki Minaj real quick. People be playing too much on
Mm-hmm.
Nicki Minaj's name and her
They learn
legacy.
though.
Please do not play. She will out rap all of you. Okay, please.
Agreed. Agreed.
Three, yes. Three, I'm lo-fi hip hop all day. If you watch any of my videos, I'm lo-fi shouty. Okay.
Nice.
Title has a good study station that is inspired all by Jay Dilla. Shout out to
Mm-hmm.
Tribe Called Quest. So check it out. What else? What am I listening to? So that was Jay-Z, that was Nicki, Lo-Fi, and um can I be honest? I really be listening to NPR. I really be listening to NPR a lot. Can we
Yeah.
please bring NPR into the rotation?
Look,
It's a
Steven
good
Keep is my dude. Steven Keep is my dude. I love that dude's voice.
listen.
I'm
Ari
there with you.
Shapiro,
Yes.
homeboy, break it down.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
I'm not mad at you.
Thank you.
I'm not mad at you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you my boy now, for real. We really right
Sensational.
now. Listen, NPR be on my rotation. I swear.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
And
down with them.
yes, and any jazz, like as a work from home girly, I'm always trying to find my zen and be all peaceful and shit. So I love a good jazz playlist, a nice like soul jazz flute. I used to play the flute when I was little. So a nice flute jazz thing. Yeah, I got a lot going on. I used to dance. I am just a ball of energy and creative inspiration. The military really mellowed me out and really got me focused. And so I'm just I love it. Just all around the way, girl. That's what they call us.
Excellent. Excellent. I know this is not the last time. This is just the
No.
first time. I'm looking forward to the future conversations had with you. Folks, uh, yeah, this has been a dope one. This has been a long one, but I am sure if you made it to this point that you picked up a couple gems. Gabrielle, thank you very much. Yeah, this has been dope. This has been dope. So, folks, if you're still here, thank you very much. Do all the things, hit subscribe, hit that notification button. Check us both out either on whatever platform, whether it be Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, whatever. Thank you very much for listening. I am Mr. Pierre. She is Gabrielle Pickens. And this has been another episode of the Chronicles of Mister. And we're out.